We now welcome in our Josh Pate, the host of the Late Kick with Josh Pate podcast. It took a lot of winning from these teams to stay at the top of the rankings. Josh, for you, who are some of your winners and losers of this latest rankings?
I think it's easy to call Bama a loser just because they're behind Ohio State. I really thought Tennessee was a loser here, even though I understand the rationale. It doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but I understand the rationale that the committee uses. Part of it I'm okay with. If you're looking at a two-loss team and they got just inexplicably blown out, like Tennessee did against South Carolina, I understand if you value that even above and beyond a head-to-head result. That's okay with me. What's not okay with me is when I have anybody on a committee look at me and say, and we also have to take into account your quarterback's out. Injuries are a part of football. No, Tennessee is not as good a team without Hendon Hooker. I think we all understand that. But see, here's the thing you can't do, nor can I, and that is definitively tell me how good a team is without any player. For example, this past week, we know Hendon Hooker's out, and Tennessee goes on the road to play Vanderbilt, and they're a 14-point favorite. They won 56-0. So going into that game, odds makers were looking and saying, without Hooker, that's about a 2-touchdown difference, especially on the road. It wasn't. And the point is, that's how sports work. And that's why I'm not interested in a committee's opinion on what a team is once a player goes down. If you want to tell me they don't deserve the ranking just because of their resume, that's fine. But they started to delve into that a little bit tonight. If you were listening to the broadcast, they started to delve into Hendon Hooker's loss also taken into account. That doesn't interest me. And we're all losers if that gets baked into the cake in the future.
All right, but on the flip side, some of those guys you think that are coming out on the winning side of this rankings are who?
Well, certainly TCU's there, not just because of where they're ranked, but also because of where their conference championship opponent is ranked, and that's being Kansas State, sitting there at the number 10 spot. I also thought Ohio State, no-brainer, was a big winner there. And once you see the Buckeyes at 5, I think most of us expected them to be there, but once you see them at 5 and then you understand how real this situation is, where they just need nothing more than maybe a USC loss, and then they're in, all of a sudden, then we ask ourselves, are we actually training headlong towards maybe seeing those teams in a potential rematch? Could we see Michigan and Ohio State play again? I also think that people would be shocked to know that Ohio State would very likely open as a favorite over Michigan, should they play again. And it's the same kind of thing we saw last year. Bama and Georgia play in the SEC championship game, and Bama houses them. They play again a month later. Georgia opens as a favorite. Georgia wins, and it blows people's minds. It would happen again. The one thing that I do want to not push back on, but at least present, is the notion that TCU is in regardless. I do believe that to a degree, maybe a 95 percentile. But there's this one thing that keeps sticking in my mind, and it's back in 2014, I believe, maybe 2015. We go into Conference Championship Saturday, and Ohio State is thought to be out of it. And they win so convincingly. I think it was 59-0. They just blow Wisconsin out. And the narrative over the span of 3 or 4 hours goes from there's no way they're going to be in to there's no way we can keep them out. And I think about the inverse version of that with TCU. It's easy to say TCU's in if they win. It's also easy enough to me to say TCU is still in if they lose a competitive game. What if it's like 49-10? So far out of the realm of possibility, but what if it's like 48-14? What if they just get blown out and it's this predicament that no one thought they were going to be in, and you're having to then rank that team? Are they still just a lock? Are they still just a slam dunk to be in? I don't know that. I don't feel as comfortable saying they're in regardless like everyone else, although I do still believe they'll ultimately be in.
As a Badger, I can tell you, yes, that was just a beat down by Ohio State that year. Thanks for bringing back those memories. All right, Josh, give us your final prediction, who you have in your the last weekend top 4 for the college football playoff rankings.
It's boring now, so I want you to grab some caffeine because this could put you to sleep, but I think we're going to just end up with the same 1 through 4 we have right now. Georgia, listen, crazier things have happened. They're playing for seeding, like Dennis just said. Michigan, ditto, they're playing for seeding. Crazier things have happened. I think those two teams will take care of business Saturday. We'll be in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. TCU, look, they've got downhill momentum right now. So does USC, for that matter. So I'm not saying it's going to shock me if 2.5 and 3-point favorites respectively lose Saturday. It would surprise me, though. And so given that, I'm going to say the 1 through 4 you saw tonight will be the same 1 through 4 we see come Selection Sunday. And by the way, if that happens, I heard you say it a few minutes ago, but let's reiterate it. USC's in the playoff. We're that close to saying Lincoln Riley year one, all that transfer portal, all that controversy, it turns into a playoff trip. That would be wild.
We'll leave all the drama now. We're just going to save that for when these teams actually kick off. Josh Pate, we appreciate the time. Thank you, my friend. And you can find more from Josh on his podcast, Late Kick with Josh Pate. Make sure to download and subscribe today. He takes you behind the scenes, whispers intels thanks to a network of our insiders, also game breakdowns and rapid reaction with occasional gambling and recruiting twists. Make sure you download and subscribe today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.